So, Halfords have been getting some flack online this week after a picture emerged of a very dodgy-looking Christmas bike display. The displayed bike in question was a silver Halfords own brand Carrera mountain bike. It had been put on a festive-themed plinth with the handlebars wrapped in tinsel, and it had a couple of glaring errors with the setup. The handlebars were in line with the wheel, the way it arrives when you take it out of the box. The fork was backwards. The front mudguard is attached to the down tube, trapping the externally routed shifting cables. The picture was posted online by a customer who branded them Halfords, and someone else said, "You would never display a bike like this if you knew anything about bikes." I personally think it's a little bit unfair.
It is unfair because if you know Halfords, you know that every bike displayed looks like that. It's every single one of them, because they obviously get a guy in the paint department to put it together. It's not, obviously the bike guy wasn't in, or maybe was in, but Halfords, it's not a bike shop. It's a shop with a bike department in it. And even when they started selling Boardman bikes back in the day, they'd look like that, with their forks back to front. There'd be loose spokes. It's because they're not a dedicated bike shop, and if it's not a dedicated local bike store, you will end up with monstrosities like this. Yeah, I'm afraid. But
it feels to me like it's an example of someone that runs the shop or whatever has said, "Can you pull that bike out, stick it on that stand, and chuck this tinsel on it?"
Yeah.
And they've literally just pulled it straight out of a box, put it straight on the stand, which, if you knew nothing about bikes, is probably what you would do.
Yeah.
We know bikes inside out, so we know that you need to turn the wheel around, put the bars in, etc., etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it's a display. I don't personally see a problem with it.
No.
There is probably an argument that perhaps it confuses people because people might see it and go, "Oh, well, that's the way that the wheel is meant to be facing," when obviously it isn't.
I mean, if I was buying a new bike, I'd never go to Halfords to buy a new bike anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think many cyclists would. But most people in the UK buy their first bike from Halfords. Whether it be back in the day, mine was a rally chopper. And, that's usually the first port of call when a parent goes, "Oh, I'm going to buy a bike for a kid."
My first ever bike was a Matt Mango BMX.
All right.
That we bought from Halfords.
Yeah, most kids in the UK, because the first thing that a parent thinks of when going to buy a bike is, where did I get my bike from? Halfords. You know what? I'm going to go to Halfords and buy my bike. It's where kids get their first bikes usually, and it's not for bike nerds like us. It's for people who poodle about, But the Carreras, they're really good bikes, aren't they? Well, you won't race them, but it's okay for a commuting thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I see loads of them around.
We've got one here somewhere, I think. We did an entry level bike video on one. It was all right. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that if someone wanted to buy the bike, they would have set it up correctly.
Yes.
But I'm not going to say that as fact. No. That is speculation.
Yes. But I'll go back to saying bike nerds like us would never, ever buy a bike from Halfords anyway. It's non-bike nerds that buy their bikes from there. Unless it was a Boardman. Do they still sell Boardman? I think they bought Boardman, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did it once upon a time. I don't know. I haven't seen Boardmans around in a long time.
No,
Does anyone know in the comments of this video /podcast? Let us know what happened to Boardman. You can email in as well if you want. WildOnesPodcast@cademedia.co.uk.